I would get comments of people being like, oh, like really shocked, like you've been really done for a big girl, like really like surprised that because of my size, like I could actually move. And it just made me want to shrink. A lot of people find that so weird, but sometimes I will not have the TV on, I will not have my phone, I've just got music and I'm just vibing.
I used to be able to swim. And then when I got to around 11, 12, I'll be like, no, I don't want to get my hair wet. Don't want to get my hair wet. Hey, beautiful. Welcome back to the Kiya Convos podcast. I'm your host, Kiya Convos, and founder of Kiya Cosmetics. Today, we're a bit different. We're doing a virtual interview and we're speaking to the gorgeous Trina. Hi, Trina.
Hey.
How are you? Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be here because I know the chat is going to be juicy.
It is. It's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it. So I usually like to start by asking a little bit about your journey. So prior to starting, your influencer career, your dance career and things like that, what brought you to this point? Just a bit about yourself.
Oh, okay, let's take it back. No, so a bit about me. So I grew up in East London. My heritage is of the Caribbean, St. Lucia, Dominica. And from a young age, I would say like music and dance was always like a part of my upbringing. Every Sunday, like music's blasting in the house. I'm sure so many people can relate to things like that. I went through like as a child, I was quite active. I was into like swimming, football, badminton. And then I kind of got into like my teen stage, and like I dropped out of all sort of sports activities. I became quite self-conscious about my body, but yeah, that kind of brought me on like a journey of just like really low self-esteem, I guess. And so I was always quite a creative child. Like I studied drama, performing arts. I went to uni at Brunel University and I studied drama, film and TV. So I've always been really into the arts and stuff. And all like creative, I would say. That was kind of like my outlet, I would say, in terms of like my expression. Gosh, yeah, I don't know what to say. I feel like that's kind of like a rounded recap of like my life, maybe.
No, that's good. That's perfect. So how did you get into, so I guess you were always interested in dance. Did you take that professionally after, school, college, etc., uni? What did you do? Okay, so you did the film. So what was your sort of trajectory, my gosh, after you finished uni?
So I went into uni actually, so because I did, so if I go back one step, because I did performing arts, so it was dance, it was drama, it was singing, I did all of it. And so when I was younger, I did a lot of dance, but as I kind of got older, I was actually more into acting. So I did drama at uni and I went into uni being like, yeah, I want to act. And I did a few like cameos here and there. And I want to be an actress, blah, blah, blah. But because I did a joint honours course with the film and TV, I actually really enjoyed the film and TV side of things. I really was always interested in like what's happening behind the camera. Like who are all these hundreds of people behind the camera, behind the scenes? What are they doing? And so actually when I left uni, I went into film and TV. My first job was at the BBC, which I was very proud of at the time.
Oh, wow.
Quite hard to get in there. So I was like, I'm in.
Straight away.
Yeah. I did a lot of like work experience prior to that as well. I remember during the summer holidays and stuff, like all my friends were out having a good time and I was like doing work experience. So I had been in the film and TV industry since I was 16 until 26. 10 years. I was actually like, whether it was work experience or actually getting my first job, I was kind of in the background, always in that industry. So yeah, I left uni being in film and TV, and I didn't actually, like I said, I left dance and stuff when I was younger, and there was kind of like a whole full circle moment in terms of when I got back into dance. But I'm sure we'll get into that in a minute.
Yeah, sure, definitely. So congrats on the BBC. I've known you for a few years just from Instagram, influencing online and things like that. So how did your social media career start?
Yeah. So I freelanced in TV. So I worked for like all the major network channels, and the last company that I worked for was Sky Sports, and I was working there full time as a production coordinator. And alongside that, I had a platform called Culture, which was celebrating Black beauty, natural hair. And I was doing.
How did that come about?
Okay, so me and my business partner at the time, we were just like, we were going on a journey of our natural hair, because we were just like everywhere that I looked. At the time, it was just like, especially family and people in my family either had relaxed hair, or they would wear weaves and stuff. But like, I always had my hair natural, so I didn't see a lot of like representation of like natural hair, on even knowing how to really care for my natural hairs. At the time, YouTube was popping off, but loads of people on YouTube that were talking about natural hair were overseas in America, and often referring to products that we could not get. So I was like, who's talking about it here in the UK? And that's how we kind of like got on this journey of like, okay, what products can we use here in the UK? What can we get our hands on? And, oh, I've seen someone do this technique. And it just started off as a conversation between me and a friend at the time. And we thought we should make this a blog. And at the time, for one of my like coursework for uni, I had to start a blog. So I brought to my friend, I was like, do you know what? I actually have to start a blog at uni. Like, we should put this on a blog. And that's when blogging was like a thing. I really feel like blogging should come back. But
yeah, I enjoy blogs.
Yeah, so we started it off as a blog and just like writing up about things that we were doing with our hair. And then, started our YouTube, created a YouTube account, created Instagram, and started sharing it online. And before you know it, it just blew up. And I think more so, not necessarily because we were saying anything revolutionary. It was more just like, oh, see, for one, there's two British girls. For two Black British girls. For two, we had different hair textures. So my hair texture is more of like a 4A in the type 4, if you sort of follow that.
It's just doing, yeah.
And my business partner at the time, her hair is more like in the type 3 and it's a bit looser curls. So I think having two of us was really good, because then it was like we had different hair textures, and we'll talk about our journey separately, but then on the same platform. So we actually catered to a wider audience. And that took off, because no one was doing that in the UK at the time. We were like one of the pioneers. And eventually it got so big that I left my job at Sky Sports and focused solely on like the blogging and the influencing at the time, which has totally changed. Even saying that word now, that is it looks totally different today, 2025, of what influencing and content creation looks like. Then it was like, just post whatever. I didn't have to think about hooks. Didn't have to think of like plan it so much. We literally were just posting whatever, and really the opportunity to form an amazing community.
Oh, amazing. So yeah, I think that's what I met you through, from the hair side of things. Yeah, definitely. And it was so good to see your journey and everything. Are you still passionate about hair care, or has that sort of shifted since?
Yeah, I'm still very passionate about hair care. I think now it's just that my hair care, in terms of like my routine, is so simplified. Back then it was like trying this, trying that style, that style, all this manipulation. And I feel like everything's so simplified now that I'm like, do the same thing day in and day out now. That is like, I don't know if there's that much to talk about, but I do find that there's definitely been a big shift away from like natural hair and conversation around natural hair. So I do feel like at some point I would love to bring it back, especially when it comes to the versatility of natural hair, actually experimenting with styles, but most importantly, like healthy hair.
Yes.
I think that's really important, something that I'm very, very passionate about.
Yeah, definitely. I think around the time I found you, I was into my first big chop. I'm currently on my third.
Yeah.
So,
Love that.
so I'm completely over like doing the natural styles and all of that. I'm doing straight wig left, maybe some braids here and there while it grows back out. I love a fresh start. So that's me. But I have definitely seen the shift towards, everyone was big chopping, everyone was learning how to grow out their hair. Then it was sort of like how to style your hair in different ways. And I think everyone's a bit tired and over
And,
it.
and the thing is, I totally get that. For one, I love that I was kind of part of that moment because it definitely fizzled out, right? I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
I love that I was part of that moment and people were like learning so much. But then on the other side, because it was growing so much in terms of the natural hair movement on social media, it then also became like there was so much noise that actually what advice do I follow? Who do I follow? And like it started to get really, really loud to the point where I feel like it actually was kind of having the opposite effect of like not actually helping people. And then it just got, no one knew where to look. Just rules and stuff. Yeah. And then, like you said, it just kind of reflects in how things actually ended up where people just like, I'm tired of this. It's too much. Between like smashing the banana and the egg and trying to make your own mask, and people are just like, I ain't got time for this.
Yeah, not at all. Okay, so after you, obviously you were documenting the hair care and everything online, what shifted towards you then turning back towards, I guess, your first love, which was done?
Yeah.
I know you've done like modeling and things. So what did that journey look like? How did that come about?
It's very interesting. So during the time, as we've just spoke about, I was creating videos, I was on YouTube and all that kind of stuff, talking about my hair, mainly just about my hair. And I would get so many comments from people being like, oh, like that outfit you're wearing is like really nice. Or, oh, people would tell me all the time that they were really inspired by me being like a plus size curvy girl. And like, we'll talk about my body, like in a lifting way of like really inspire me, or you've helped me with my confidence. And to think like, what are you on about? Like, I'm here talking about my hair. You're talking about how because I wore that tight top, it made you feel confident to wear the tight top. And I honestly, at the time, I didn't understand it. I was like, I'm just doing hair care here. And so it actually made, at the time, I never really thought about my body in that way or that I could be inspiration to anyone. I definitely never gave myself a label like plus size. I was just showing up online. So I think having people's comments towards me was just like, oh, people actually come to this page for other reasons. And it was around body confidence. And then I started going on because I never was actually thinking about my body. I then started to became actually a bit hyper focused on like, oh, people are looking at my body. People are like, do you know what I mean? So I sort of kind of went on a bit of a body confidence journey myself. And that was one of the things that brought me back to dance. I was like, why don't I do the things that I really enjoy and make me feel good in my body? And that was actually dancing. So I started going back to dance classes that I hadn't done for ages because, as I said in the beginning, I had a really turbulent relationship with my body. And I think that was one of the things that made me quite uncomfortable about when people were then like highlighting things about my body. I'm like, why are people looking at my body when I'm talking about what's going on? Yeah, I was just like, oh, okay, I'm going to get back to dance. I actually really love dancing, but I would go to classes around London, and I was always the bigger girl in the room. And, you know, it made me feel uncomfortable. It made me feel ostracized, like I didn't actually belong here. And then on top of that, I would get comments of people being like, oh, like really shocked, like, you've been really done for a big girl, like really like surprised that because of my size, like I could actually move. And it just made me want to shrink. Like I would just hide myself. And the thing is, I went to multiple different classes thinking that, you know, at first, maybe it was just that one class. Maybe it was, you know, just that experience. But I went to multiple classes. Like one class, I remember there was another curvy girl. I was still like bigger than her or whatever. Like the teacher then like would pair us together and like make, oh, two big girls, you two come and do, and it was just like, why now become about my size, my shape, my body, and if anything, it's now made me feel even more ostracized in these spaces. So that was kind of that journey in terms of the reason why I wanted to get back into dance and really connect with my body. But then kind of in all these backhanded comments and like, it was quite a contradiction because I was like, I know how much I love dancing, how confident it made me feel, hence why I wanted to go back to dancing. Then when I was in these spaces, it actually then just made me feel really conscious about my body and really like, no one here looks like me. And it made me feel like this idea that dance should have one size. And if you're not part of that, then you shouldn't be here, you know?
So what made you decide to keep, I'm so glad you kept going,
Yeah.
but what is it that made you keep going? Was it purely the love of dance, or was it, I'm going to keep showing up because something needs to change? What was it that made you keep going?
Yeah, I definitely remember thinking and feeling like I know how much I love dance because I've been doing it from such a young age.
Yeah.
And being in these dance spaces was so frustrating. And I think the reason why I kept going, it was the frustration. I was like, no, like I just wanted to search for a space in a dance class where I could just be free. I could just move my body how I want to move it, and I don't have to like hide and shrink myself. And because I didn't find those spaces after months of going to different dance classes, the frustration in me was like, I'm just going to do it myself because I know I can dance clearly. I know I'm really good with people. I'm much a people person. And I'm like, I'm just going to get my friends together and create a routine. And I'm just going to create this space that I wish existed.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. I love that so much. I'm so sorry you went through what you went through, but at the same time, I'm not,
Yeah.
because look what it's birthed.
Yeah. And
Uh,
also I feel like for me, I remember at the time I was thinking I can use the energy to then just be mad at the world and be like, oh, I just give up. I'm never going to go dance again. Or I could take that same energy and create what I wanted to see, create a space that I know that I could be my full self. And like I said, create something that didn't exist. So I used that and I channeled that energy into a life-changing direction, to be honest.
yeah. So talk me through the beginning stages of, starting. Well, I guess this was the beginning of the curve catwalk.
Yes.
Yes. So talk me through how it started, and yeah, just what it like the
Yeah.
growth.
So how the Curb Catwalk started, um, like I said, I was like, wait, oh yeah. So I just got my friends together. I was like, I just want to dance. I want to dance.
Yeah.
I've got a fire routine. I think it was like Chris Brown or something at the time. And I just got my friends together and it was like, hired out a space for 2 hours, just paid, I don't know how much it was at the time, but it wasn't much. I think it was like at the time, £25 an hour or something. That place, got my friends together. I was like, I want to teach a routine. It was literally as simple as that. I didn't have a business plan. It wasn't like, oh, this is going to be this big thing. It's like, I just want to dance and move my body because all these other dance classes I've been going to really focus on like performance or training. And it's like, go, 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 really rigid. And I'm like, no, I just want to go and like feel free and just like have a great time. In hindsight, one thing I always talk about is like my experiences at Notting Hill Carnival, because I remember when I was younger, I've gone to Notting Hill Carnival since I was 2 years old. And so every time I go there, people are dancing in the street. They're so liberated. They're so free. Like no one cares about how you look. And I was like, that's how I want to feel when I'm in a dance class. I don't want to feel like I'm shrinking myself. I don't want to feel like I'm comparing myself to other people. I want that same feeling, that same like liberating feeling of like when I'm at carnival. And that literally was my like motivation of what I was trying to create. And it was less about like the dance, the routine, and it was more about the experience and how people actually felt and how they left feeling. That is the thing that I focused on what I was trying to create. And so when I got my friends together, everybody at the end was like, oh my God, this was amazing. Can you do another one? Like, please, like, I want to come back. And I was like, yes, like, this is the feeling that I want people to feel at the end of a class, because every time I was going to dance classes, I never felt like that. So
Yeah.
that was like, gave me that like fire in my belly to be like, yes, like, this is what I want. And then I did do it again. And they would then bring their friends, and their friends would then bring their friends. And then what I started noticing was that the people they were bringing were like curvy women, other plus size women, people who like don't typically have like an athletic body, so to speak. And I started noticing like a little thread. And after classes, people would talk to me and be like, thank you so much. I've never been to a class where I've had like a curvy instructor or like someone teach me. And I'm like, that's so true. Like neither have I. And it
Yeah.
more their response to me that made me feel like there's something here. And all these people that have now come because of word of mouth and people bringing people, are kind of reiterating my own story back to me in terms of feeling ostracized, not feeling comfortable in other places. And that was the thing that made me realize it's not just me. Like there's other people that feel like this. And that was the birth of the Curve Catwalk, because I was all about wanting them to feel good, having the experience. Oh, I'm a plus size woman, so I'm actually inspiring other people to just take up space, not want to shrink themselves. We would show our stuff to the mirror. And when I was like, I'm going to call this the Curve Catwalk.
Oh, wow. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it so much. That's so inspiring. And it's like you literally created the safe space that you needed yourself.
Yes.
And you were able to open it up to other women, which is so beautiful. Did you document that whole beginning stage online, or did you bring it online at a later date?
Did I? That's a good question. I did document the first class for sure. I'm sorry, because I'm trying to remember. Did I? I remember posting about it, but I never said it was my class. I remember posting about it in terms of like, oh, I've gone to this dance class and I've had an amazing time and I feel so sexy and blah, blah, blah. But I never posted that it was me teaching at first until I kind of got the momentum. And then I was just like, guys, it's me. So I definitely documented, but I more documented it in terms of like personal journey instead of like, this is a new venture I've started. Because remember, at the time, I didn't start it to be a business. I didn't start it to be a thing. I just wanted to do something for myself. And it was actually quite selfish in terms of it was more just about me. And it was only until, like I said, I started getting that feedback and people's responses that I realized, oh, like other people want this as well. So that's how that kind of started. Yeah.
Okay. So do you remember when like the shift happened where it was like, okay, this is a business, this is inspiring people, the community is growing. What's going to be the next step? What did that process look like?
I think, what did that process look like? Like I said, it was word of mouth. I think more when the classes started getting sold out. At the time, I was just doing monthly. And then I started doing bi-weekly classes. They also was becoming sold out. And, and I was just like, I was just getting more and more interest. And I was just like, oh my gosh. I think that was really the sign to me that this is like where the shift is happening. It's not only just like people being in the room, it was also more like the things people were saying to me. People would be like, thank you so much because, I've just had a baby and this has made me feel so confident. People were sharing stories about like potentially like sexual abuse that they've had and they've never been able to like feel like present in their body. And it was like these incredible stories people were telling me that I was like, whoa, like this is a thing, like this is major. And not to the point of just like, oh, because I've got people in the room. It's like, this is actually having a serious impact on women's lives. And then I'm looking at my life, I'm like, this is having an impact on my life too. But honestly, it was definitely the community that was just made me realize this is a big thing. And then I would say the second thing that made me realize, oh, this is a big thing is that I was getting like media interest and like BBC News wanted to we've seen what you've done, like the first plus size dance class in the UK. We want to cover this for you. And I was just like, whoa, what is happening? Say those two things. Of course, yes, when you have like outside sort of recognition of what you're doing, but most importantly, it was the stories that the women were telling me about how this was genuinely impacting their lives. That's when I realized this is way more than just a dance class. And I think that was the first time that I truly understood the impact of community. And the reason why I say that is because when we were previously talking about culture and having the hair blog and stuff, that was definitely a community. That was like an online community. And there's so much power in also bringing community offline. So I was doing this in person, having not just a comment on an Instagram post, like actual face-to-face conversation, people crying. Like it was so like, whoa, like, so I think that offline interaction made me really understand, like, because it was almost a tangible, right? Like someone's in front of me telling me this. That made me really understand the power of community. And that was when I was like, there's a shift. That was the shift for me, realizing like this is big.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, I love it. So I guess off the back of the media attention that you started getting, the community's growing, people are talking about it. I'm assuming by that time it was all online as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So how did you then get into, because I've seen you with Nike, I've seen you everywhere, billboards, videos.
Um,
So what did that look like? When did that start to happen?
gosh, I always try and like, I'm always like, get the story right, Trina. So I remember, I remember wanting to like work with Nike for ages and thinking to myself, I'm gonna pick them, like I'm gonna pick the curve catwalk and what we're doing. And at the time, there was something called Movement Week that Nike was doing, and it was actually something that was championed by, I'm gonna shout her out, Leanne Piro, who does the Movement Factory. And she put me forward for this Movement Week, which was just like a pop-up class, like a 1 hour pop-up class, but it was in collaboration with Nike. She had worked with Nike for a long time. And so I just did this one-off thing with them for this Movement Week, one-off class. And off the back of that, they were just like, whoa, like this class popped off. It wasn't a class that was like, it wasn't to a genre. So when I teach dance, I do what you call social dance. So it's like a mixture of genres. It's more just about you feeling good. It's not like hip hop and very like technical. So I was one of the people that did one of those classes that was just more like free flowing. They couldn't, for one, I'm like, they were so shocked at the turnout and then just the energy. So the back of that pop-up class that I did, they then reached out to me and was like, hey, we want to work with you. And I think one of the reasons I love that story, I love the fact that it was also a Black woman that put me on and put me in that space to even have their eyes on me. So you always have to big up Leanne and everything she's doing, because if it wasn't for her and mentioning my name in the room, it could be very different. And that's how it happened. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's also a huge example of when preparation meets opportunity.
Yeah.
Because yes, she got you in the room, but your personality, what makes you you, is what took you off, because you could have just done the class.
Right.
They said, oh, well done, it was great, and kept it moving. But it was your time. Everything aligned perfectly.
Yeah,
Love
exactly.
to see it. Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, how has your journey, I guess, I guess since you've been working with Nike and all the other collaborations, you've kind of been put in the frame as a diversity advocate, if I'm correct in saying. Yeah. So how do you feel with, the weight of that title, and how has that shaped your presence online, your personal brand moving forward? Because I know that's initially not what you set out to do or become, but essentially that's where you are now. So how do you feel about that? How's that shaped what you do online now?
It's interesting because I think it was something that I was doing, but didn't necessarily realize I was doing, if that makes sense. So, for example, in terms of before these labels got put on me, in terms of the things that I was talking about like exclusion in these sort of fitness spaces because of my size and because of my body shape. And I was talking about spaces being more inclusive. And I was talking about wanting there to be more visibility. And so I was talking a lot about like representation and like the need for diversity, but like I never gave myself this label of like being this quote unquote diversity champion. So then I think actually when that label, those terms were then given to me, if anything, it actually helped me to then be like, oh, okay, like this is what I'm doing. These are the people that I'm speaking to. This is the mission. And it's kind of like streamlined things a bit better for me. Yeah. So like, I know I was doing it anyway, but like the brands come along and like do their fancy marketing thing. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Oh, that's the spirit. Okay.
Yeah. At the time, if I'm being honest, it was actually kind of helpful for me because I was like, yes, okay, this is the lane I've always been in, but now it's kind of like piecing together. And if I'm being honest, I never then took it on board as like, oh, this is pressure. Because like I said, I was always doing that and I was always talking about that stuff. I was always passionate about it. That's one of the reasons I started the Curve Catwalk, to talk about inclusivity, to talk about fitness looks different on different bodies and different sizes. And, it's not, fitness isn't just like the physical benefits. What about the mental health benefits? So I was already talking about that stuff. So actually, then having the label didn't necessarily add pressure. If anything, it allowed me to just connect with more people, because now people being like, oh, okay, this is the diversity, I don't know, or inclusive girl. And like, it allowed me to actually build like a bigger community. So I don't know, I feel like people might expect it to be like so much pressure. Oh my gosh. But actually I was like, yeah, let's go. Like I was like, I'm on it. Let's ride the wave.
Oh, I love it so much. So sorry. So what do you think has been the impact so far on your journey with the Curve Catwalk, with all the things that you're doing, the things that you're speaking about, the rooms that you're now in? What do you think has been the impact? And do you think there's still a lot of room to go as well?
Yeah. I mean, I would like to think that the impact of my work has allowed a wider conversation around what fitness is, what health is, what it looks like. It's not just a one size fits all. When we talk about being active and fitness, like I said, it's not just about like the physical benefits. Like growing up, I honestly always associated exercise with like punishment for what I ate. And, I had a really unhealthy relationship with exercise and stuff. So I would like to think that the work I do now really encourages people to, for one, actually think about what that looks like for them. It's not about like measuring and comparing yourself to other people. What does that look like for you? Two, I talk a lot about joyful movement. So actually, when you're engaging in activities, do something you enjoy. Like, I remember when I started this journey, I was going to boot camps and stuff because I thought that was what you do. Like, I hated them. And of course, no wonder why I didn't want to go back. No wonder why I had such a turbulent relationship with activity and fitness and being active in general, because I was doing things that was like so rigorous and so like harmful on my body actually. So finding things that actually make you feel good. Like now I dance. I started like trying to skate, which is also fun. Also like pole dancing. Like I love that stuff, and it keeps me
I
going
really want to go to a pole dancing class.
Like honestly, my arms are hurting. And also it's one of those things of like being willing to try things. Like when we talk about hobbies and stuff, I feel like people always feel like they need to be good at the thing. And it's like, you don't have to be good at something to try it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, just give it a go. But yeah, going back to your question, sorry, I hope that my work has had an impact just in terms of having a wider conversation around like inclusivity in fitness, what it looks like, and also encouraging more people who don't see themselves being reflected in the fitness spaces to feel encouraged to actually get moving and, actually experience the health benefits and the physical benefits of movement and like, being active.
Yeah, definitely. Do you still feel like there's a long way to go in terms of, obviously you've provided your own platform, but other spaces, do you think there's still a lot of work to be done?
I think there's definitely still a lot of work to be done within the fitness industry as a whole. I still, like I said, yes, I have my own company at the Club Catwalk and we're all about inclusivity. But I still go to other classes outside of my own. I still, like, people might be shocked about this, but I still go places and just feel so uncomfortable and just feel like people really need to understand what inclusive fitness spaces mean. I think some people think that just because you have "we welcome all" on your website doesn't actually make you an inclusive space. Like on your whatever fitness activity it is, do you actually allow for adjustments and modifications for some people's bodies? Language is such a big thing. I still go to classes where people are talking about burning those calories, feel the burn, and like, or whatever it is, but it's like language holds so much power, and there's not a lot of inclusive language. And obviously I'm talking about it from the point of view of like maybe it's like my size or something like that. But there's also inclusive language around gender, like around, do you know what I mean? Like if you're really trying to be inclusive, there's so much things to think about. Is your space actually accessible for people to attend? You know, and
Yeah.
so it's like when we talk about inclusivity, I think people just think because they have hashtag body positivity or something on their post, they think that they're inclusive and they're really not. And I still to this day go to so many fitness classes, whether it's dance, whether it's something else, where I'm just like, I feel so ostracized from this place. So there's definitely a lot of work to do with what inclusivity actually means, especially in the fitness industry.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Wow. So what is your mission now with where you're at with the Curve Catwalk and your personal brand? What is your goal? What would you like to see in the next 5 to 10 years?
Gosh, in the next 5 to 10 years, um, that's a big question. But ultimately, I guess my mission is still the same. I guess it would be something that if I could inform more people and get the message out to more people. But ultimately, it really is about people being able to enjoy movement in a joyful way. So whatever that may mean to them, and having a personal relationship with fitness. And also being able to prioritize like the mental health benefits of fitness and activity, not just the physical. And I guess one of my biggest like goals and stuff is to definitely encourage like more young girls to get into fitness, because I was one of those young girls that dropped out of, like I said, when I was younger, I was into all the sports. I got into like my teens and dropped out. And that is still, I can't remember the percentage or whatever, but there's still like a huge percentage of women, young girls, sorry, that drop out of like activities around like 11. And I was that girl. So I guess one of my biggest goals would definitely be to finding ways to like, especially encourage like young girls, young women to like stay active, because I get it. Like puberty happened. Like for me, I got boobs and stuff, and I was like, oh, I don't want to be like jiggling around or in school. I want the boys to look at me, and that is still definitely a thing and a thread that happens, especially with young girls. So I think if we can like or I feel like do work that gets young girls to just feel confident in their body and like stay active, then hopefully that will then be a thread throughout their childhood and hopefully something that they then pass on to the next generation.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. That's one thing I was talking about. I think it was swimming. Yeah, it was definitely swimming. And I was saying a lot of, obviously, a lot of Black people, unfortunately, cannot swim.
Yeah.
And I was saying that I used to be able to swim. And then when I got to around, 11, 12, I'll be like, no, I don't want to get my hair wet. Don't want to get my hair wet. And I went to a hotel that had a pool a couple of years ago with my husband. I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to go and swim. And my body was not working. I could not remember how to swim at all. I'm going to have to do classes because I need to know how to swim. I have kids. But I was just thinking I could swim, but it was the same thing. It was like, oh no, I'm older. I want to look cool when I
Right.
go out with friends. I'm not going to get my hair wet. I used to run um, the cross country. I stopped doing it in my teens. I used to love running, but then it was like, okay, now I'm just going to hang out with my friends. I'm not going to do it.
Honestly, that's so common. Like I speak to women all the time that say, especially when it comes to dance, like, oh, I used to dance. I used to all the time. Like I remember when I was younger, and it's like, when you think about it, like, why do we stop? Like, why do we do
Just
the
stop.
things? Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Always like around college
Yeah.
age. Then I had a few friends that were in like dance groups, they'll do competitions. Then it just fizzled
Yeah.
out. So yeah, it would be really good to get these girls to keep
Keep
doing it
going.
throughout.
Yeah. Yeah. And find what works for you. Because like I said, I was then pushed in a direction, especially in school, of like, then it always being focused around the gym, going to the gym, the gym, the gym. And I can't stand going to the gym. There's so many other things you can do, and really having the opportunity to explore that and having communities where you feel comfortable enough to be there as well. Like you feel like this is a space for me, and that's why community is so important. Having a space where you feel like you can belong, you're with like-minded people, and as well as like the Curve Catwalk, there's so many other groups and like other organizations that exist now where you can find a community for you.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, I love it. It's so good. I'm going to change gears slightly. What does self-care look like to you?
I mean, these days, girl, looks like sleep in my house. Rest. No, but honestly, like, I think because of my job, I am always like forward facing with people or like on the phone, on social media, creating content. Self care, like, it just is being still sometimes. Like, actually having my phone in another room so it's not distracting me. I've recently moved, so like, I'm really enjoying like the silence, the peace. Um, and just having moments where I can be present. I don't think I did a lot of that. So now it definitely looks different where it's like being present, going for a walk without my phone, like things like that. Just being able to switch off, that genuinely brings me so much joy and peace. So
Yeah. Oh, I love it. You value your peace.
yeah, a lot, definitely.
So you've had a long, busy day, all the meetings, everything. You've just got home. What are you doing to relax and de-stress?
I put on some music. I'm very much in my like Zumba kind of mode. I just love like a nice gentle beat, because usually during the day it might be soca, but in the evening, we wind it down a little bit. I I do kind of romanticize my life a little bit. Like, I love the aesthetics. I'll put on like the mood lighting, like a candle.
Yeah. I love that for you.
Yeah, like I love kind of that whole like like take a nice long shower, get into some nice, I don't know, in a nice robe, or I love my onesies. I'll be in my one and then yeah, just chill. That's my vibe for sure. Nothing fancy really, but just like making my space feel cozy. Like, that is definitely what I'm all about.
After that, are you a scroller or are you a TV series binger? What do you do?
Probably a bit of a scroll. I'm not really like, if I more or less keep the TV off. I don't watch that much TV, to be
Okay.
honest. Like, people always ask me for recommendations for shows. I'm like, I'm not that girl, because yeah. So yeah, more like maybe on my phone scrolling, or just chilling, listening to music. I don't know why people find that so weird, but sometimes I will not have the TV on. I will not have my phone. I've just got music and I'm just vibing. Like, I'm confident in doing that. So yeah.
Yeah, people do not do that anymore.
Like,
I
it's
think,
like, I don't always need, I'm just in my own space. Now that I have my own space, I think that's what it is. Like, I'm just enjoying my own space so much that I'm very comfortable in just being in silence or just having music on and just zoning out.
I love it. I love that. You're reminding me of my teenage days in my room. I hate you guys.
This is the thing, right? Like, I'm not married. I don't have kids. I live by myself. So I can really like just get in that zone. I can do that. I
Yeah.
mean, there's always going to be a time that I can do that, right? Like, so I really do want kids one day. So I may not always have the opportunity to do that. So whilst I can, I'm just in my own zone. I love it.
So I love that for you. Thank you so much. This has been such a nice conversation. Let me know. So, what are your plans, I guess, for the rest of 2025, the Curve Catwalk? What do you have coming up
Yeah.
that weekend?
So at the moment, in terms of the Curve Catwalk, we are currently training new instructors. A lot of the instructors are actually people from the community, which is really, really nice. In training them to then set up their own communities and deliver classes, which is really exciting. As well as dance classes, we've done a lot of feedback from our community, and they also want to experience other kind of like wellness activities together and doing things just that are away from the dance floor. So we're doing this, we've got this new series called Joy in Motion, where we'll be like trying other kind of activity that we can do together. So I'm really excited to do that. So alongside the dance classes, it's like, okay, let's have some fun. Let's do things other than dance. Again, just like cementing that thing of community and bringing people together that I'm really excited about. And then I guess from a personal point of view, yeah, just keep doing what I'm doing, really. I love the modeling side of things. It is actually because of the Curve Catwalk that I even got into modeling in the first place. So who knows? That side of things is it's ad hoc. It's like, as it comes up, it comes up. It's not really planned in advance. Um, but that's the kind of exciting thing about my life sometimes. It's like, you just never know what's around the corner. And that's kind of good advice for people, actually, just to keep showing up. And that's what I do. I just keep showing up because you never know who's watching. You never know who's speaking your name in a room that you haven't entered yet. And just keep showing up because you don't know what's around the corner. So that's my little gem.
I feel like you've just answered my next question. So I usually like to end on asking, what is your key takeaway or mantra for life that you would want to share with the audience?
Oh, should I say something different then? Let's think of something else to say. Yeah, keep showing up. But you said mantra. One of my mantras actually from Lisa Nichols, and she says about your conviction and your convenience don't live on the same block. And like for where you want to be, like there's always going to be some sort of shift or some kind of like not necessarily inconvenience, but like you're gonna have to step out of your comfort zone. So maybe that would be like my last takeaway of like, don't be afraid to step outside of your comfort zone to get to where you want to get to.
Oh, beautiful. I love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, this has been great.
Yeah, I've loved it. I've loved speaking with you. I'm looking forward to see everything that you've got coming up this year. I love the sound of the dance plus the wellness. I'll definitely be coming down.
Yeah, to one of your through. You're always welcome to come through for sure.
Thank you so much. Can you please let everyone know where we can find you online?
Yeah, so in terms of dance classes, if you want to come and dance with me, you can find us at the Curve Catwalk on most platforms. And in terms of my personal page, it's Trina Nicole.
Perfect. I'll have everything linked below so you guys can check Trina out. Thank you again for speaking with me. It's been great. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode and let us know in the comments if anything really resonated with you. We'd love to keep the conversation going. And yeah, that was about it for this episode. We'll see you next week for another episode of Kiya Convos. Be sure to like and share the episode with someone else who would also find it enjoyable and useful. And we'll see you guys next time. Take care, stay blessed, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.